In the top stories, more schools on remote learning this week. 12 COVID deaths in 24 hours in Grenada. And U.S. donates $500 million more COVID-19 vaccine doses to the world. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Thursday, the 23rd of September 2021. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, classes in 2 more schools will be engaging in remote learning as part of efforts to slow the spread of COVID-19. Statements issued by the Ministry of Education on Wednesday said that teachers and students of Grade 3, Room 1 of Tucker Clark Primary School and Grade 6, Room 3 of Sandy Point Primary will engage in remote learning as of Thursday. These 2 schools are the latest changes in operation as the ministry responds to the growing number of positive COVID-19 cases. Minister of Education, the Honorable John L. Powell, earlier said the situation is fluid and the schools will be using either a shift system or remote learning to adapt to and adopt the advice given by the Ministry of Health in efforts to protect the health of the nation's children. Officials within the counseling department in St. Kitts revealed that the institution will be undergoing a rebranding process in order to broaden the scope of practice and better serve the general public. That's according to Deputy Director within the counseling department, Naima Hazel, who was speaking during her appearance on Wednesday's edition of Working for You.
There is a broad scope change to what we do. So even though people see the National Counseling Center in a very limited way, we are rebranding so people can see the work that we actually do, and looking at ways that we can deliver our services so that our resources are being properly utilized.
She said it's important to consider rebranding and broadening the scope to also improve the work relationships between all stakeholders.
We want both our clients and us as practitioners to find ways that we can work towards mutually beneficial relationships and improve the service with the resources that we have and the needs that we're seeing in the community, which are ever growing every day. So as we look towards our future, we see ourselves, and Cabinet obviously saw us the same way and expanded our scope to see us as a national counseling center so that we could look more closely at how we are assessing our value for service and how that will be defined in the future.
Ms. Hazel said the aim is to raise awareness of the services of the counseling unit.
The way that we're broadening our scope, we're hoping to do that so people will get a better understanding of the services that we provide, if they need those services, and when they need those services, how to access them through either our agency or through different referral agencies.
Some of the services include clinical counseling intervention, employer assistance program, clinical assessments, crisis management and response, limited online and virtual counseling, psychoeducational sessions, as well as family matters services. The St. Kitts Nevis National Carnival Committee will be hosting a virtual release party on Thursday to reveal the submissions for this year's Sugar Mass 50 song competition. In a post to their Facebook page, the committee noted that only 5 submissions will advance to the finals. The event will be hosted by radio personality Sweet Sister Sensia and will be broadcast live on all social media platforms of the St. Kitts Nevis National Carnival. The event begins at 8 p.m. We now move to news on the regional scene. There have been 12 deaths within the last 24 hours in Grenada. With this number and cases climbing, health officials are concerned that infected people are opting to stay at home and some self-medicating. GBN News reports.
12 COVID-19 deaths in the last 24 hours, the highest number documented in Grenada since its first outbreak in 2020. The death toll on the island is now 75 between the ages of 18 to 103. Grenada has 2,260 active cases, 9 of which are imported, and 2,251 are locals. 72 people remain hospitalized. Senior Medical Officer Mayana Charles says most of the fatalities occurred in the community.
Now, as you mentioned, Grenada has recorded 75 cumulative deaths of COVID-19 and 12 in the last 24 hours. This is indeed an alarming number, but of the deaths we recorded in the past 24 hours, some occurred in the community, so persons who would have died at home, and some occurred in the hospital. And most of the deaths, again, are in persons who are not vaccinated.
Families are given a 72 hours time frame to bury their loved ones, far from the norm when it comes to saying goodbye. Health officials continue to advocate the need for the infected population to reach out for help before their conditions worsen, as waiting can lead to death. Charles laid out some of the signs they should look out for when the situation becomes extremely serious.
That anybody who is at home and are experiencing the warning signs of severe illness, please seek medical attention immediately. Because we have seen this. Persons are staying home until things are really, really dire, right? And some persons are not even seeking medical attention. So I want to reiterate that. And some of the warning signs you need to look for: persistent pain or pressure in your chest, difficulties breathing, new onset confusion, so persons not knowing where they are, they cannot recognize their family members, those sort of things.
Dr. Charles also discouraged persons from self-medicating with drugs that are not approved by the WHO. She says if they do it, it is at their own risk. For GBN News, I am Rena Pear-Thomas reporting.
A new solar-powered service station with more than a dozen filling spots for liquid fuel and CNG was officially opened in Presal, Trinidad on Wednesday. It's also the country's first ever electric vehicle charging system. Sunil Lala reports.
NP has not received 1 cent from the government to fund our capital projects like these, contrary to what some would have you believe.
Confirmation from NP Chairman Syed Hussain that one of the largest multi-fuel stations in the Caribbean was funded directly from the company's resources. The new pre-sal station, which has 20 filling spots, 10 for liquid fuel and 10 for CNG, cost upwards of $20 million with an additional cost of $5 million for the 320 solar photovoltaic and storage panels, as well as the country's first electric vehicle charging system. Mr. Hussain says the solar panels will be used to power various aspects of the station's operations, including lighting, liquid fuel dispensing, and store power for electric vehicles to be charged.
Indeed, the savings in electricity will certainly improve the service station net income by reducing operating expenses, thus helping the station to become a model to replicate across the network.
This electric vehicle charging system would be able to fully power a vehicle from 0% in about a half hour's time, and Energy Minister Stuart Young is adamant that incentives are coming for these types of vehicles.
The Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, along with the Ministry of Planning, are preparing a cabinet note to seek cabinet approval to open this up with a number of incentives and policies to get the EV progressing in Trinidad and Tobago.
NGC CNG President Curtis Mohammed says the station was built in a year and a half and believes this is a great accomplishment during the pandemic. The next service station with CNG spots will be opened in Mayaro in the next few months. Sonolala, TTT News.
Internationally, the United States on Wednesday promised to buy 500 million more COVID-19 vaccine doses to donate to other countries as it comes under increasing pressure to share its supply with the rest of the world. More in this Reuters news report.
And I'm keeping the promise that America will become the arsenal of vaccines.
Under increasing pressure to share America's COVID-19 vaccine supply with other nations, U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday promised to donate an additional 500 million Pfizer-BioNTech shots to poorer countries around the world. That brings the U.S.'s total global commitment to 1.1 billion vaccines so far, more than any other nation.
Put another way, for every 1 shot we've administered to date in America, we have now committed to do 3 shots to the rest of the world.
This is the second time a 500 million dose allotment will have been purchased by the Biden administration for donation, the first coming last June. Under the terms of that contract, the U.S. paid Pfizer and BioNTech around $3.5 billion, or $7 a dose. The World Health Organization has criticized wealthier nations like the U.S. for planning booster shots for those fully vaccinated, while millions around the world still do not have access to vaccines, something UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres forcefully echoed at this week's gathering of world leaders in New York.
This is a moral indictment of the state of our world. It is an obscenity. We passed the science test, but we are getting an F in ethics.
Biden on Wednesday alluded to that criticism by saying that as President of the United States, his first responsibility is to protect the American people. He also called on other wealthy nations to, quote, deliver on their own vaccine donations and pledges. As health experts say, 5 to 6 billion doses are needed by poorer nations to fight a pandemic that has so far killed nearly 5 million people worldwide.
And now for the weather. Present weather is fair skies, with winds that are southeast at 8 to 16 miles per hour, becoming lighter overnight. The temperature for today is 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are moderate with waves of 4 to 5 feet. The weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis today says it will be partly cloudy with a 20% or slight chance of showers. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of showers. Sunset today will be at 6:08 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow at 6:01 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.